Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone Bashem Rakak Wadash. My name is Yakaba from Plain Tables Camp in Philly. Now, I may name this Warning from the Prophets, something along those lines. Warning. And this event happened in 1 Kings 13th chapter. The summary is, this is a prophet that was doing the right thing, but then he disobeyed. When he was doing the right thing, he had power with Yahweh, and when he went off, the Lord abandoned him. All right, and he was put to death. So that's pretty much what the story entails. Let's just read. It says Acts 1 Kings 13:1, and behold, there came a man of God out of Judah by the word of Yahweh unto Bethel, and Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense. And he cried against the altar in the word of Yahweh and said, O altar, altar, thus saith Yahweh, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he offer the priest of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee. So the man of God that came from Judah, he went to the northern kingdom. This is the kingdom was split by Jeroboam and Rehoboam. All right, so he went. So this Judite, or at least of the southern kingdom, went up to where Ephraim was and prophesied against the king. All right. So it says the prophecy here, which was complete in 2 Kings 23. 2 Kings 23. This prophecy comes to pass. All right, we'll read that. It says, of the high places that he burnt incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee. So this prophecy actually was complete in the 23rd chapter, 2 Kings. We'll get to that after we get through this. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, this is a sign which Yahweh hath spoken. Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. All right. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam heard this saying of the man of God, which he cried against the altar in Bethel, he put forth his hand from the altar, saying, lay hold on him. And his hand, which he put forth against him, dried up. So it withered. So that's basically like a death touch. So he tried to put his hands on one of the prophets, Jeroboam, and it basically degenerated his whole hand, his whole arm. All right. It says hand. And it says so that he could not put it again to him. All right. So maybe it said it dried up. All right. So maybe it turned to like the stone. Maybe. All right. It says dried up. All right. But he said it was so dry that like when you dry something out and dehydrated, it turns to like a dry leaf, like a leaf going through the season. Eventually it dries up and then withers away. So the altar also was rent. I mean, it was broken, and the ashes poured out from the altar according to the sign which the man of God had given by the word of Yahweh. And the king answered and said unto the man of God, entreat now the face of Yahweh thy God, and pray for me that my hand may be restored again. All right. So his hand got dehydrated. All right. And he's asking the prophet to restore his hand. I can see the physicians, like the herbs, won't do anything. All right. The herbs can only do so much. And Esau's drugs can only do so much. It's really the power of Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai to have command over your health ultimately. And the man of God besought Yahweh, and the king's hand was restored him again, and it became as it was before. The king said unto the man of God, Come home with me and refresh thyself, and I will give thee a reward. And the man of God said unto the king, If thou wilt give me half thy house, I will not go in with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For it was charged me by the word of Yahweh, saying, Eat no bread nor drink water, nor return again by the same way that thou comest. All right. So he went another way and returned not by the way that he came to Bethel. All right. So when it says disobedient prophet, so basically another prophet said, an angel told him to come back with him, and he ended up being put to death. But the point here was that when Jeroboam came to touch him, that he immediately, he actually could have died. Right? But the Lord, Yahweh, didn't want him to die, because Jeroboam was a prominent figure in prophecy. He was being used by the Most High. All right. So only his hand. So he wanted to go lay his hand on the prophet, and he put forth his hand from the altar, saying, Lay hold on him. And his hand, which he put forth against him, dried up. So let's look at dried up. It just says dried up. So maybe it turned to stone. I'm thinking it was his hand became like hard, like a rock. All right. To make dry, it withered, become dry and shriveled without moisture. All right. So I guess you use your imagination of what it actually looked like. I'm thinking of fruit, like a lemon or a lime. After it starts to lose its moisture, it becomes hard like a rock. But it goes through different stages, of dryness. All right. So that's a grievous curse. All right. So we'll finish this off. Then we'll complete the prophecy. All right. It says, And he went after the man of God and found him sitting under an oak. And he said to him, Art thou the man of God that camest from Judah? And he said, I am. All right. That's there in the 14th verse. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done that day in Bethel, and the works which he had done. So maybe this was an Ephraimite. All right. Because the northern kingdom used to worship in Bethel. I'm not sure who it belonged to eventually, Bethel. But I know Ephraimites used to worship there. An ancient place and seat of worship of Ephraim in the border of Benjamin, identified with Luz. So, there you go. Then it says it's a place in Judah also. All right. So, more than likely, I was there's an Ephraimite, one of the northern kingdoms, the prophets, all right, that deceived the Judite prophet by the word of Yahweh. All right. So we went back and ate bread with him. So long as we are obedient, we got power with the Most High, with His Son. All right. Angel's going to protect us. But if we become disobedient, we're left without a cover. And he said unto him, I am a prophet also as thou art. An angel spoken to me. What does Scripture say about it? Even if an angel come from heaven, you're not supposed to listen. That speak a different word. All right. It says, an angel spake unto me by the word of Yahweh, saying, Bring him back with thee unto thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. So he went back with him and did eat bread in his house and drank water. All right. And it came to pass as they sat at the table that the word of Yahweh came unto the prophet that brought him back. And I can't wait till Yahweh Shazalek get this power again. All right, this closeness that the prophets had, with the Holy Spirit. All right, we're going to get that Yahweh Shai Ratazah, because it wasn't in a dream. It was while they were eating at the whatever it was. So when they were sitting at the table, he started hearing voices in his head. Hope he get that power back. Well, the scripture said that even greater works than these. So if the Yahweh Shai's elect, Yahweh Shai Ratazah, we're among that number, going to have greater power than the acts that Yahweh Shai showed during his ministry. It's very likely that we're going to get this 1 Kings 13-20 power back also. And he cried unto him, saying, he cried unto the man of God that came from Judah, saying, Thus saith the Lord, for as much as thou hast disobeyed the mouth of Yahweh, and hast not kept the commandment which Yahweh thy God commanded thee, but camest back and hast eaten bread and drinking water in this place, of which Yahweh did say, Eat no bread and drink no water, thy carcass shall come unto the sepulchre of thy fathers. All right, and then what happened? He got put to death. And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way, and the ass stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass. It says, and behold, men passed by and saw the carcass cast in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass, and they came and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelled. And Bethel is probably an Ephraimite, or one of the tribes, northern kingdom tribes that dwelling in Bethel at the time. And when the prophet that brought him back from the way heard thereof, he said, It is the man of God who was disobedient unto the word of Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh hath delivered him into the lion, which had torn him and slain him according to the word of Yahweh which he spake unto him. All right. So the prophet, the Ephraimite prophet brought that Judite body back and mourned, because that was his brother. But the Lord wanted that prophet put to death. And that's a horrible, turn of events. I pray that doesn't happen to any of us. The prophet took the carcass of the man of God and laid it upon the ass and brought it back. And the old prophet came to the city and mourned and buried him. All right. So let's go back up to the prophecy. Because it was prophesied that the bones going to be burnt in the altar, something like that. Let's see. It says Joash by name, and Joash is going to be doing this. And upon thee he shall offer the priest of the high places and burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee. So we go to 2 Kings. So this prophecy took a little while to come to pass. 2 Kings, I have it up here, 23. All right, it says reformer Joash. So Joash was a great king. I can read about him. I haven't read this in a while. So, and Joash also, and as Joash turned himself, he spied the sepulchres that were there in the mount, and sent and took the bones out of the sepulchres and burnt them upon the altar and polluted it according to the word of Yahweh which the man of God proclaimed from Judah, the Judite prophet that was put to death, who proclaimed these words. All right, so it took a little while for it to come to pass. So that's a lesson there. So it's not, some prophecies don't happen immediately. They take time to come to fruition. That prophecy took place in 1 Kings 13th chapter, and we're in 2 Kings 23rd chapter right now when the prophecy came to pass. And he said, what title is that I see? And the men of the city told it, it is a sepulchre of the man of God which came from Judah and proclaimed these things that thou hast done against the altar of Bethel. All right. So even though the prophet went off, the Lord was still working with him. He still had the Holy Spirit for that time being. But then the Lord took it from him when he disobeyed. All right. And he said, let him alone, let no man move his bones. So they let his bones alone with the bones of the prophet that came out of Samaria. All right. And all the house and all the houses also of the high places that were in the cities of Samaria, which the kings of Israel had made to provoke Yahweh to anger, Joash took away and did to them according to all the acts that he had done. And he slew all the priests of the high places that were there upon the altars, and burned men's bones upon them, and returned to Jerusalem. So where they were worshiping, all right, where the Ephraimites are worshiping, yeah, all right, in Bethel, Joash killed those prophets, and burned them at Jerusalem. It says he burned them at Jerusalem. All right. So Bethel was where they were, I believe, where the prophets were worshiping in Samaria. All right. And those priests were burned up in Jerusalem. So the prophecy came to pass. All right, that the Judite that was put to death proclaimed while he was in Bethel. All right. So that stern warning, it's name of the lesson, warning, it's probably going to be somewhere along those lines. You put your hands on the prophets, all right, even if eventually they're going to go off in the future. That's how much power the Lord put in his word. All right. This prophet eventually went off, but Jeroboam put his hands on him, just touched him to arrest him. All right. Because he said that the altar was going to be broken. That's what rent means here. Being broken up. Jeroboam's hand turned the stone. It dried out. All right. Just by putting his hands on the prophets. Now you go to what? Revelation 11:5. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. That was an example of fire. All right. He put his hands on a prophet. His hand dried up. So that's basically like a death touch. All right. These wicked ass Israelites and the Edomites think they're going to put their hands on the prophets. Hey, that could happen. You could put your hands on us and you could just turn to dust. All right. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. All right. So that's the power that Yahushua is going to give his elect. All right. Although you're going to have minimal casualties, ultimately the whole elect that are prophesied to be delivered from Babylon and from the various countries that were scattered around the world, we're going to have a shield, a hedge about us. All right, and 1 Kings 13th chapter is a good example of that. All right, it's a lesson. So long as we remain obedient, for the main part, Yahushua is going to protect us. All right. Proverbs 19:20, hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end. All right. So let's keep protection on us now and in the end. All right, which the end is here. We got Issachar-He, after part end and issue event, latter time, prophetic for future time. All right. Let's keep that power that if a man come and put his hands on us, that's going to be the end of him. All right. Imagine that every person that has ever put their hands on the prophets, they're in a worse state or they're dead right now. Talking about as of from every time really, but from the time of our elders ministry in the late 80s. Well, even their teachers, their elders, those people that put their hands on us, the Lord ends up putting heavy curses on them, either kills them or they end up sick, or somebody in the community take them out. All right, but that's the end of those people that put their hands on us. All right, if you put your hands on the prophets, you're gonna end up turning to dust. All right, so that's a warning to be obedient to the Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh's word and encouragement and protection. That if anybody abuses us, all right, their hand gonna turn like the hand of Jeroboam's. All right, it dried up. All right, Yabash. To make dry wither become dry. All right. So I'll leave that there. Hope you edified. Shalom.